And that would mean like S&P coming off another 20, 30%?
Yes. And again, you have to remind people, 1929, everyone's like, yeah, October, I think 18th or 19th. It was late October 1929. The stock market fell 22% in 2 days. It wasn't one day. It was like 12% one day, 11% the next day. So 23% over 2 days. But that wasn't the crash. I mean, that was the beginning of the crash. This Dow Jones fell 82% from top to bottom. Now, it took 3 years. It bottomed in June 1932, started in October 1929, so not quite 3 years. But that fell 82%. And that happens. So yeah, we're down. Nasdaq's down, bounced back a little bit in recent days, down close to 30%. Down, the S&P down over 20%. We're in bear market territory, but that's just the beginning. That's not what a full bear market, full market adjustment looks like in the face of the kind of recession that I expect.
Okay. And again, we had that special video, Countdown to Crisis. There's a link below, londonreal.tv/Jim, where you kind of go into what's going to happen with this crash, why it's going to be fast, bloody, unavoidable, but also how you can position yourself to profit from that in 2022. Yep. So thank you for that. Talk to me about inflation, because I was looking at some of the inflation numbers, and you have to go back to the 80s to see anything that's approaching double digit. I remember being just a kid hearing about double digit inflation. I could kind of remember the gas pumps, the lines at the gas. It's like a distant memory of me in the 70s. But how do you talk to younger people these days about what inflation is or it means? Because I don't think people really grasp what it actually means to your savings or to the economy in even a medium term.
Well, that's exactly right, Brian. And if you're a little younger than I am, but I lived through it. I started my career in banking in 1976, and I remember my wife and I used to kid each other. She was in advertising, I was in banking, and the inflation was so bad, you'd get a raise every like 4 or 5 months, and you didn't have to ask. They would just give it to you because they knew that you were going to quit if they didn't keep up. So she would get a raise, and she was making more than I was at the time. So we'd go out to dinner, and then I would get a raise, and I was making more than she was. So we would just tease each other about that. But that's how it was. And the psychology was, if you needed a TV set or refrigerator, new car, whatever, you say, I better buy it now, because the price is going to be higher. If I wait a month or 2 months, the price is going to run away from me. So it had huge behavioral effects. Of course, gold was, going to the moon. There was a lot going on at the time. But Brian, you're right when you say we're putting up inflation numbers today that are the highest in 40 years. That is correct. A little 41. Actually, it was 1981 before we saw these numbers. But I remind people, the inflation in 1981 was the end of a 10-year period of inflation. It wasn't the beginning. You say, oh, that's some inflation. Yeah, we did, but it had started. I mean, in some ways it started in 1968, and it really took off in 1974, 75. So 81, these numbers, that was when Volcker finally got it under control. But you go back to 70, between 77 and 81, so that 5-year period, the dollar lost 50% of its purchasing power. Not 15, 50 in that 5-year stretch. So you were putting up numbers, 10%, 11%, 13% and higher year after year. Yeah, 1981, it was 9 or 10, which is what they're comparing it to today. But that was on the downslope. It had been higher than that in 77, 78, and 79. So the question is this the beginning of an inflationary surge where it's going to get even worse and it is going to last 5 years, or is it different than that? But keep that in mind, because the 40-year comparison, it is correct, but that was the tail end of an even worse episode.
Hey, it's Brian Rose, founder of the DeFi Academy. I've told you my 4-week crypto bootcamp is amazing, but don't take my word for it. This is what my students are saying.
The DeFi Academy was an amazing experience for me. It took me totally out of my comfort zone.
In this course, I was challenged, I was held accountable, and pushed to do things that honestly weren't always easy.
It's been phenomenal, and I can't believe we're already up on our 4 weeks. It has flown by.
Going through this DeFi accelerator, by far was one of the best courses I've taken.
You do this course, you really get into the nitty-gritty of the activities that will make you comfortable with decentralized finance.
Thank you so much to Brian and everyone at London Real and the DeFi Academy for even putting together an amazing course like this.
Anybody else that wants to do it, please sign up. It is well worth the money.